Hello and thank you for pressing play on this tutorial on validating startup ideas with probably zero money. We're going to dive into this today, and if you recognize yourself in any of these profiles, you're at the right place. And it's meant for individuals who've never been down this path. And a little bit about me, I've been down this path. I've occupied many roles in sales, marketing, etc., primarily in tech. I've had my own startup, I grew one, and we're going to go through those experiences briefly. And I'm going to try to keep this not boring, because those topics can be, ugh. So, where did this tutorial come from? It comes from this tweet. So for those who don't know Mitch Garber, he's a very well-known, successful Canadian entrepreneur, and he responded, as he does very generously of his time on Twitter. He's one of the great follows I have in my list, to that question that you see on the screen, and Harley responded as well, and he's the founder of Shopify. So can I take this discussion and actually convert into a process? And here we are, and you press play. So, a little bit about me. I joined Elphick Networks way back when, at the scaling stage, back in 2007. I was different haired colored at the time, and Elphick, unlike a traditional startup, was a spin-off. So it was a different kind of feel, but basically I was the first ever commercially focused employee, and I was head of everything, basically. And it means this. So when you want to start your own startup, regardless if you're joining at the early stage or a little down the road, it matters not. You're going to do a whole bunch of things, including mopping the floor. Welcome to startup. So I went through this process, and I grew something that was making a bit of money to something that made reasonable money. And we grew the business even through a recession and economic downturn. So learned a lot there. And then eventually I decided I'm going to do my own thing, probably like you're thinking right now. And I built it from scratch with a dear friend of mine. I was a CEO, and it stands for Chief Everything Officer, and I'm not remotely kidding. We had this idea, which we had many pivots, and we qualified this idea, which was all structured around monetizing footsteps. And when we built this, we decided, like, we got to make sure that we're going in the right direction. So the process I'm detailing today, I've actually used it before with those three. I'm keeping everybody anonymous, but we built this on bootstrap, no money, and I left for family reasons, but I would remain an advisor. And this is where our minds meet, and your ambitions are coming to light, and you have an idea, but it's worth nothing until it becomes real. If you have an idea and you're afraid of talking about your idea, wrong start. You're gonna have to start talking about it. Just be a little bit smart about it. Don't talk to everybody about it. Choose your the people you want to talk to. And when you have something that, all right, we have something here, how do you make sure that this idea is actually worth pursuing without betting the farm and going broke? A lot of entrepreneurs, especially I've seen that in software and tech, where they have the greatest version of sliced bread. It's sliced bread 4.2 expanded edition. And they go out, they build, they spend a phenomenal amount of time, resources, energy. They throw some personal money at it, and it goes nowhere. It happens every single day, every single week, in every corner of the world. It's nothing new either. I mean, a lot of people think they have the magic bullet, and until the idea is validated, you don't have the magic bullet. I hope you do, but until you validate, you don't. So we're going to focus first and foremost on the value of problems, because you may have found this amazing idea, but what problems are you solving? And an entrepreneur, by definition, is somebody that can find business opportunities in customer problems and solving them. So that's where we have to come from a mindset perspective, and understand your customers. Quantify what's happening. the cost, the return on investment, pricing of your assumed competition. And yes, you have competitors. Even if your stuff is unique, you will always find organizations that will compete for the same dollars in the customer's budget. So understand what's happening. How much money is your customer spending on a problem and not getting the value out of? Is there something out there that can actually do it, right? And your solution, to make it super simple, you need to save the customer money. You need to make the customer money. And if you can be lucky enough, you do both. So the 6 basic questions you have to start with when you want to validate this. And I'm going to build a little bit of something here. So first and foremost is why? How much is the customer's pain point worth? Why is this worth solving? Why is this worth building something to solve? So start there, please. Who's your customer? Which business vertical? Where are they sitting in the org chart? And I'll give you some ideas of how much and what to expect from a financial perspective. So, and what are you looking to build? Don't be a Swiss Army knife type builder. You want to build a scalpel or a laser pointer because you have to be focused. Startups can be great, but they're really great when they focus on one specific thing that they're great at. If you try to solve every problem, not gonna work in any reasonable measure. Then where are your customers? Are you working in the physical realm or the digital realm? Because these are things you have to take into account if you want to take into validating your idea, especially if you want to meet people in person. Now, when is your customer likely to be interested to talk to you or likely to acquire that fix the problem they have that you want to supply? Seasonality can be really big, especially in the retail space, and business standard certifications are the traditional points of enterprise business where you have to do reporting, compliance, standards, etc. You want to time your opportunity. And lastly, how are you going to get there? You want to have a plan before you build. The plan will change, but you're not going to do this alone. Who's going to do this with you? What do you need? How much money do you need to get this thing off the ground? Have a basic idea of what you're getting into before starting. So once that is done and you want to go out, you want to validate that super duper amazing project you have, you need an audience for that. So what happens? So you want to go talk to individuals who would be your customers, first and foremost, and ask for their expert opinion. Who has something to gain from your offering would be your typical target, right? Build a list and reach out to that list. And by list, I mean more than 3. I mean, go 30 plus, 50 plus. You need to go out and talk to a whole lot of people. And at the same time, if your idea actually comes to life, it becomes your prospect list. So 2 birds, 1 stone, nice win. When you have those conversations, you're not selling. You're explaining what you want to do, how you think it's going to solve the customer's problem, and listen. The listening part, is the really, really important part. And before you walk into any meetings, understand their business. If you walk into retail, as an example, do they have a loyalty program? Can you boost that loyalty program? Can you get people to do something with that? Can you get more foot traffic into a retail store or an online store? Try to live the experience of what's happening right now at your customer, and going from that angle, if you understand their business, they'll take you far more seriously. They'll be far more helpful. How you in the org chart, the better. I mean, the junior assistant intern is not a person you want to talk to. Talk to director and up. If you can talk to a vice president of something or chief something of something, that's where you want to hit, depending on the organization, of course. But the higher, the better. You'll get the clearer answers from those individuals. And also, they're usually the purchasing authorities at the same time. So you get in front of the right people. Prepare. If you come in and go like, hey, sock puppet show, not gonna fly. So you want to prepare your content, you want to prepare your questions, you want to ask them, and you want to ask a whole bunch of questions, because again, the goal is to get them to express what they think about your specific solution. But do prepare more than less. And where do you find those wonderful individuals who are going to help you? If you work in a certain sector and you want to tackle that sector, well, existing customers, contacts, partners, dealers, etc. are good places to go. Personally, I love to go through LinkedIn, and professionals tend to respond on LinkedIn more than by email in my experience. So you want to go there, and you want to also grow your LinkedIn network so you can have more visibility into certain sectors, so you can actually find the right audience for you. If you happen to be able to go and network in some events and groups, user groups, whatever, if you have a solution for a Microsoft platform, well, you can go out and meet people at a Microsoft user group that focuses on that platform. That's simple. Now, last but not least, if you deal with the consumer space, go where they are. I mean, if you can become friends with a manager of a grocery store and you have a food product you want to put on the market, just make people try it, and at the same time try to join a promotion or promote some other product that they're trying to push. Do something creative and just get people to try your stuff. Now, let's talk about the no money thing. I love to be prepared. I love to be ready to go out and win. That's personality thing, but if you can go out and have a reasonably decent looking project and with a reasonably decent approach, and you can make it happen for $0, it's not a bad idea, right? So how much is a Google account? Free, because you are the product. Remember that with Google. If you need to make a website for your thing to actually showcase ideas or videos or whatever, Google Sites, free. You don't need a domain. I run a Google site project for my neighborhood here where I index resources we can all share across neighbors. I didn't buy a domain or anything like that, and everybody bookmarked it. It's fine, it's usable, it's just not corporate-ish. A logo for your project will actually bring some, let's say, some personality and some depth, as in you're actually serious about this, and you can actually brand all your collateral, all your slides, all your demos or templates or whatever. It doesn't need to be final, and if you've never used Canva, try it. There's a free mode which is brilliant, and you can build a logo from templates. Name your project with a Gmail address. It's fine. You're starting. You're validating. You're not even building yet. Google Drive for sharing everything between your team members and your audience that you want to validate with. And also Google has forms that you can leverage. I mean, there's a whole bunch you can get done for $0 here. Now, last but not least, you want to be reachable, use your mobile. You already have a mobile, just use that. It's fine. Now, if you want to splurge and you want to go all in, and we can make a miracle happen for under $70. I mean, do you want to have fun with this or not? And it's a personal decision at this point. I've personally done it because it was a whole lot of fun, and it helps think some things through once in a while once you're engaged in your process. But you don't need to. You really don't need to. But you can actually get a domain for peanuts. I mean, if the project changes name or goes nowhere, you just let it expire. It's fine. Now, for a logo, stick to Canva. Again, everything's going to change, so you don't want to spend money where you don't need to. As for a website, there's some amazing deals out there for WordPress style hosting, like $2 a month with free domain. I mean, I've seen some crazy prices. Of course, performance will be affected by how much you pay, but you're at a stage of who cares, right? And a website could even be overkill at where you're at. But the other thing is you can get a whole bunch of email addresses with your hosting plan, should you care about this. If you want to separate your personal from your professional, that's a way to do it. Again, fully optional. And you still keep that free Google account for all the other benefits we've discussed, including document sharing, storage, forms, if you want to use that, versus a free plugin for forms on WordPress. should you decide to go down that route. I mean, there's options out there, and you don't need to go broke. This is the most money I'll get you to spend today, unless you want to buy people coffee. Now, again, phone numbers, use your mobile. So if you want to design some stuff to show, you can do it for $0. First and foremost, I do have another tutorial on running a business for almost nothing from an IT perspective and software perspective. You may want to check it out to complement what we're going to be discussing here. If you need to build prototypes for websites, for apps, for smartphone, iPad, whatever, Figma is the big giant name in the market and just got acquired last week by Adobe for $20 billion. Why? Because everybody uses Figma and they have a great free account. There's other alternatives, but prototype something, make something real, tangible. It always helps versus having a sock puppet and smoke show, right? As for graphic tools, there's so much out there you can do. From a graphic design perspective, you don't need to be an artist or go in full art or full whatever. You just want to make sure that you're expressing your ideas, and a picture is worth 1,000 words. So let's use pictures, right? And if you need to map some processes because your solution, what you want to build is process centric or heavy, there's plenty of ways to build flow charts and make them reasonably pretty, presentable. So again, we're sticking in a $0 land. Now, let's go and validate this thing. Like, we've built something. We have our ideas put together. We've done our market research. We know the financials. We know the audience. At least we think we do. Now we're going to go validate. So you have to build that list. Then you reach out. And the more, the better. Why? Because some people are outright going to ignore you and don't take it personal. And some individuals will reject you. Welcome to reality of entrepreneurial life. You're going to have to build some tough skin, probably some, in this process, because you're going to get rejected, and rejected a lot. It took me some serious amount of tries to get in front of that audience for Walk Today. But once we got there, we hit gold, right? So that was really worth the effort. And ask for their professional input. They are professionals. They know things. They have pain points. They live through this day in and day out. You want to hear what their take is on what you want to do. Aggregate the data from everybody you've talked to. Then afterwards, rethink your life, because you may started with something and at the end of the process you have something else going, wait a minute here. Do I want to go there? I know I'm trying to be funny with rethink your life, but at the end of the day, it's do you really want to do this? You want to continue? It's worth having that conversation with yourself and your team. Usually the answer is yes, we continue, but take the time. And repeat until you have enough data. And the more people you talk to at each round, the better. And if you can find 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 people that will talk to you, this is brilliant. So once you've accumulated all this information, we jump into the league of pivotology, or like figure skating backwards and spinning around in a startup. So do you need to pivot? Probably, because the goal is to adjust lightly or significantly what you have planned. So change is good, because the customer is telling you what they want to buy versus you want to build something, right? That dialogue is really important, because if you want to build something that the customer doesn't want to buy, good luck. Now, growth pains are good pains, and learn to adapt, learn to think differently. This is a critical part of founding your business, and you're going to ask yourself some big questions. You're going to spend a few probably sleepless nights, but this is all good at the end of the day. Potential changes at each validation phase: adapt, build, change. And examples of organizations that had to pivot over the years, you can Google business pivot examples or something like that. You're going to find dozens of stories. One of my favorite ones is Play-Doh. Everybody had Play-Doh growing up. Well, this was a wall cleaner. Sony made rice cookers when they started in 1946 or 7 or something like that. So people adapt. Organizations adapt. The audience will tell you what they want and need. Follow what they tell you. If you want to go and build a prototype because you've got all this data and this is exciting, we want to like start building stuff because that's, we want to build something, right? We want to build a company. We want to build a product. We want to build a service offering. The prototype is when the prospective customer says, yeah, I'd use that. Like this is your chime. And you can go like, I can get you a product the next days. Can you put it in a lab or something? Like, I can get it to you in 45 days or 30 days or something like that. You're like, yep, I'm willing to, kick the tires and whatever you're going to do. And then you try to get some sort of commitment. Can you put that in writing, please? I just want to make sure that all my allies, investors, etc. are all aligned. Can you get me a little letter of intent or something like that? And when you're at that stage, supply the templates. You can Google those templates and make it easy. And if you can actually get a contract or deposit, yeah, that would be awesome because you're serious at this point. Most importantly, don't build for one, build for many. When Elphick was building its offering, they had 3 organizations that said, yeah, if you build it, we will come. Then they build it. It's just for one, it's like nice, but can we repeat? So volume is good. Also, sleeping optional, same old. That being said, if you ever reach the MVP stage, and something that's a question that I get a fair amount of times is, do we charge? The answer is yes, because if you give away for free, and they tell you that we'll give you free publicity, like give me a free T-shirt, I'll wear it at work. You're like, just run. No, not serious. And in the free world, there's no guarantee the customer will do any mileage with it, right? It's there. There's no priority. There's no objectives. There's no pressure, unless they are the product. Again, Google, Facebook, etc. It's free. You're the product. If you're going into a paid MVP, and MVP, I should have clarified, MVP is the stage, shall we say, after a prototype, minimum viable product. So if you get something that's sellable that people will want to buy, charge for it, because if they pay to commit, first and foremost, they're serious. They will most likely use your offering. And my enterprise sales IT career, I've sold stuff that wasn't installed until 6 to 12 months before, like even sometimes at renewal time, they would still lie in a box somewhere because priorities change, etc. There's no guarantee, but you enhance the odds of the customer using it. If they fund you, that means you'll stay in business. If you stay in business, you'll support them. It's this good give and take relationship. And yes, it's fine to discount, but always document your discounting structure for launch customers, because make them feel better. Yeah, I'm going to give it to you at 50% off for the first 2 years. Then afterwards, we'll revisit and you put it on paper. And there's an agreement there. There's precedent. It's just good business. Assuming we're still going forward here, okay, what next, right? We want to build this thing. So first and foremost, I encourage you to dig into the incubator accelerator space. It could be really good for you, like it could be completely not what you need. It depends of who you are, what you do, what you need, and where those programs fit with you, etc. So it's a world of its own. Recommend you explore it. Redefine print, because if you join in something and you go through their program, they will fund themselves through a partial ownership of your organization. So because they need to keep on operating as well, right? And just make sure you read and understand. Talk to advisors if you need to before signing the dotted lines. But there's some really good stuff out there. If you want to go and find a darling one, it's the Y Combinator. Now, if you're a student watching this, colleges and universities have their own programs. Look into it. Entrepreneur banks, if you need funding and advice, like in Canada, we've got BDC. In the rest of the world, I don't know, sorry. But there are specific organizations which are built to help business start and grow. Reach out, document, talk, decide what works for you. It's all in your hands. Now, last but not least, you need people. First and foremost, here's my golden rule, and I told that to a buddy of mine at my favorite business place in the world, the dog park. He was also a customer, and he's thinking about hiring someone. And going like, can you fire this person? We're like, probably. All right, what's the damage? Because it's a sibling thing between that potential new hire and that existing employee. So do you really want to go there, right? Is there somebody better that will prevent, you have to think things through. Family, neighbors, friends, spouses, in-laws, etc. You're stuck with them for a long time. Think about it before you bring them on. Just be smart about it. Track records matter. If you want to deal with people, find people that have done this and done this successfully. And so, and the flip side of the coin is there's a bunch of startup consultants out there that are really, really good, but there's always those out there that make us, that do really good things, look not so good. So just keep your ears out. And I have a thing about serial entrepreneurs. You have to dig in their profiles really, really, carefully. Some are really good and some not. So just don't get stuck on bling, if you will. That's my main message. Bling cannot be good sometimes. And thank you for paying attention to this tutorial. If there's anything, drop me a line. I'm there to help. Thank you very much. Have a great day.